This is section 1.3, and this is where we're going to find limits analytically. So we're going to utilize some algebraic approaches to find our limits. Earlier, we saw that we had a function p of x that looked like this. And we found that the limit of p of x as x goes to 0 was negative 0.4. We also saw that there was a function called g of x, and we found the limit of g of x as x goes to 0 is equal to 3. Note that both of these limits have x going to 0. So if we know that our function p of x has limit as x goes to 0 of negative 0.4, and our function g of x has limit as x goes to 0 of 3, what would you think would happen, or what would you expect to happen if we took the sum of those two functions and took the limit of the sum as x goes to 0? What would you think would happen if we took the product of those two functions and looked at the limit of the product as x goes to 0? Now, hopefully your intuition says that the limit as x goes to 0 of the sum of the two functions will probably be the sum of the two limits. By the way, if you add those two things up, you're going to get 2.6. And the limit of the product of those two functions as x goes to 0 is going to be the product of the limits. So take negative 0.4 times 3, and we get 1.2, or excuse me, negative 1.2 as the limit of the product. And it turns out that's exactly what happens in this case, that when you add these two functions, you could figure out the limit of x goes to 0 by adding the two limits and getting a 2.6. When you take the product of the two functions and take the limit as x goes to 0, then we can take the product of the limits, which was negative 1.2. And so that's the kind of things we're going to look at in this section.